imagine this. A massive public event, maybe a protest, a huge concert, could be anything. And then the next day, you see the news. One outlet says hundreds of thousands, another says maybe millions, for the exact same crowd. How does that even happen? What's the real number?
Well, welcome to the Deep Dive, and thanks for joining us. These insights are powered by the FlowOps channel. Today, we're getting right into that exact mystery. Why are crowd counts so often all over the place? And maybe more importantly, how is just counting people actually fundamental to keeping everyone safe at any kind of gathering, big or small? Our mission today is really to demystify these numbers and see how they fit into the bigger picture of event safety planning.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that. The sources we looked at brought up a pretty stark example. The 2011 Tahrir Square demonstration. Reports for that one event, you said, range from tens of thousands all the way up to 2 million. That's a massive difference. So what does that tell us about, how much we can actually trust any attendance figure we hear?
It tells us we should be pretty skeptical, honestly. What's fascinating and maybe a bit alarming is that this difference often isn't just a mistake. It's kind of built into the system. There are some core reasons why these figures can be unreliable. First off, a lot of people reporting the numbers they don't have the expertise. They don't actually know how to estimate accurately.
Right. It's not as simple as just looking out and guessing.
Not at all. And then you've got motivations. Yeah. Organizers, well, they might inflate the numbers to make it look like a bigger success, right? Police might adjust figures too, maybe lowballing it, maybe exaggerating, depending on if they're arguing for more resources or trying to minimize something. Even media partners might quote certain figures just to keep their access. There was a great quote from Paul Yip, basically saying estimates are colored by the beliefs of the people making the estimates.
Wow. So it's not just incompetence. It could be, deliberate spin, depending on who's counting and why. That makes you question everything.
Absolutely. And beyond the human element, there are practical challenges. Crowds aren't static, people move around. Trying to count a moving target is inherently flawed. Getting a good estimate, it really needs trained professionals, people who know what they're doing, often using aerial views, trying to be unbiased, and sometimes you need really strict controls on who's coming in and going out.
Okay, so it's genuinely difficult.
It really is. And another big trap people fall into, thinking ticket sales equal attendance.
Ah, right. The no-shows.
Exactly. No-shows can vary wildly. Some promoters even oversell capacity, maybe by 20%, expecting people not to come, so ticket numbers. They don't tell you who's actually there. Even look at huge, meticulously planned events. Obama's 2009 inauguration, the official estimates and expert estimates still varied by hundreds of thousands, and famously, lots of people with tickets couldn't even get in. Remember the purple tunnel of doom? So, yeah, 100% accuracy, it's basically impossible.
Okay, so perfect accuracy is out. It sounds almost impossible to get any kind of reliable number then. But the sources also mention some maybe surprisingly simple tools, things that can give you a decent first-pass approximation. What are those? Stuff maybe you listening could even use.
Yeah, there are actually some accessible tools out there. Google Earth, for example. It's free. You can use it to check the size of any area, get a sense of the space, gives you that bird's eye view that's often missing on the ground.
Okay, that makes sense. Just see how big the container is, basically.
Right. Then there's a website, mappedchecking.com. It's pretty user-friendly. You basically just point and click, draw an area on a map, and it'll give you a rough crowd estimate, usually based on something like 2 people per square meter. It's surprisingly useful for a quick approximation.
Interesting. What about for, tracking things during an event as it happens?
Well, believe it or not, Microsoft Excel. Often overlooked, but it's really versatile for keeping track in real time. You can monitor fill rates, how crowd flow is changing, maybe track entries and exits with a simple setup. And then you have AI stepping in now, too. Tools like Crowd Counter. Some are powered by things like ChatGPT. You can upload a photo of a crowd and ask it for an estimate. Apparently, sometimes you have to sort of convince it to give you an actual number instead of just saying thousands. But they've been tested to be pretty accurate, maybe within 10-15%.
That's incredible, using AI for a quick count like that. Though the sources did point out, while there's really complex stuff like crowd modeling software, pedestrian dynamics was mentioned, most events don't actually need that super high level of detail. Often these simpler tools are enough for that initial assessment, right?
Exactly. Very few events need that intense modeling. And this all connects back to the bigger picture, which is the event safety plan. Getting a handle on the crowd size, even if it's approximate, is just one crucial piece of that much larger safety framework. It's not just about the number itself, it's about using that information to keep people safe.
Right. So when we talk about a really comprehensive event safety plan, how does this crowd stuff fit in? What else is involved?
It feeds into pretty much everything. Professionals look at 6 key components. First is a comprehensive risk assessment. That means identifying all potential hazards, including how crowds might move or get congested, and figuring out controls. Sometimes using advanced tools like risk and congestion mapping.
Okay, so predicting potential problems.
Precisely. Second, you need solid emergency response protocols, plans for evacuations, medical emergencies, any contingency you can think of. And these aren't just written down, they're tested rigorously. The source mentioned testing protocols nearly 400 times for the wild light shows, for example.
Wow, okay. Practice makes perfect, or at least safer.
Definitely. Third is a clear communication strategy. How does staff talk to each other? How do you get safety messages out to attendees? That includes everything from briefings to social media updates. Fourth, event layout design. This is critical. How you set up the site impacts crowd flow, emergency access, and ultimately defines safe capacities. And the key point here, crowd and event safety professionals should decide your capacities, not just guessing.
Makes sense. The layout itself can be a safety tool.
Absolutely. Fifth is training and staffing. No plan works without a trained team on the ground. There's a great quote. Crowd and event safety can only ever be so much of a science. It will always rely on good people on the ground. This means staff trained in first aid, crowd management, maybe even tested through simulations. And finally, sixth is coordination with agencies, engaging early with police, fire, ambulance services, making sure everything complies with regulations and everyone's prepared to work together if something happens.
So it's a really interconnected system. The crowd count informs the risk assessment, the layout, the staffing levels, the emergency plans.
Exactly. We've seen that just counting a crowd. It's way more complex than it looks. It gets tangled up with motivations, inherent difficulties. But getting it as right as possible is absolutely essential for safety. Understanding all these nuances, I think, really helps us appreciate the expertise that goes into managing events safely.
Definitely. So maybe the next time you hear a big attendance figure reported for an event, maybe pause for a second. What assumptions are being made? What hidden motivations might be behind that specific number? It really makes you think beyond just the figure itself, doesn't it? Hey, if you found this deep dive insightful, please hit that like button, subscribe for more, and share it with anyone who might be interested. It helps us keep digging into these important topics.